to the quorum for our forum. Welcome to the September 20th episode of the EDIC. Meeting has now come to order. Approval of the July 19th. Thank you very much, David, for sending those out. Did everyone get a chance to put those? And keep in mind, those are 2 months ago. Any discussion? Anyone want to vote? Motion to approve them?
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained. Okay. Now, did anyone, I'm trying to remember, did anyone take notes last month?
I was going to say, whoever did, they're welcome to continue taking notes.
Well, actually, since this is my last meeting as chair, I'm happy to take up being the scribe.
Really? You want to do that now?
No.
Wow.
Next time.
Okay.
My birthday.
David wants to go to church this weekend. One more out.
That's my birthday. Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's always the biggest fear. Who the hell can do that?
No, I will do that, because I'll just bring my computer and
Yeah.
just go away while we're here.
Yeah.
David, if we don't have them, is there a way, not that I'm laying this burden on you, but is there a way to retrieve them from the video?
Well, we didn't have benefit of a video from the July 19 meeting, but yes, whenever there's a video there, of course you can retrieve them, but there's never any guarantee that the videos will actually appear.
So we're hoping it's there for the 16th.
I'm hoping it is, because I made a lot of noise before that.
There is one from the last meeting, but I saw that, but I was trying to find, just to make sure that what I took down was,
Yeah.
mostly accurate.
No, they didn't have
Never
it.
happened.
So we can
yeah.
recreate minutes from the 16th video then,
We can create the minutes from the July 16th video, yes.
August 16th.
August 16th.
August 16th, yeah, you can,
Okay.
that's there.
Would anyone like to do that? I mean, David's doing
Not
this
me,
one.
I'm not doing it.
David's
so-
doing this one, and I'm going to do them.
I wasn't here.
Will someone listen to those?
I don't even know.
Or you go on the website?
Just go on the website and listen to it, spend an hour, and listen to the meeting, and just write down the important things.
Create the minutes.
I'll do it. One of the reasons I don't volunteer for that kind of stuff is I'm horrible at note taking.
Well, the great thing about the
Yes,
video is
or-
that you can pause.
The notes are
Yeah.
very good.
Imagine there's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, okay, so if you'll do the last minute, last month, and you'll do this, I will take them henceforth.
Perfect.
Okay, from August 16th?
August
Yes.
16th, Yeah. Yeah.
And if that video, well, you said you saw that it's there, right?
It's there, yeah.
Okay. Anyone have anything for a public speak?
Well, can I ask one more question? What website is that? Is that the city
You
website?
can go to the city website, retrieve it there, or you can go straight to Community Access Television and find it there.
I think also if you Google ECAT 5 East Hampton.
I think it's East Hampton Media now.
That's
Yeah,
right,
it's
yeah,
in
yeah,
media.
yeah.
Google East Hampton Media.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Public speak. Okay. Planning Department report, Jean, you wanna, Jessica?
So the first is that this has been finalized. We had received money through the state, through the Community Compact Agreement, which is with the governor's office and all the municipalities across the state. And they, we had asked for some economic development assistance, so one of the things they provided us money for was to do a review of our zoning for industrial and manufacturing uses. We worked with PVPC, and this is the final report, so I know that a few of you attended the public forum that we had, but some of the major findings that came out of there was trying to sort of streamline the special permit process and making it more a site plan review process when it seems applicable to those types of industrial projects in an industrial zone, not making it go through a full special permit process. Our fees are considerably lower in comparison to our neighboring communities by like a lot. So we need to take a look at that, and we need to start doing some assessment in our own office in terms of how many hours it takes for us to process applications and our hourly rate to see if we're not losing money rather than we just want to be able to cover our time essentially. So we need to look at that, and that's something Jamie and I will do. The other thing that came out that I'm hoping that we can start to implement is a pre-development review process. We're going to be doing this with an upcoming applicant per their request, but it's a good test for us, so it brings all of the department heads together in one meeting with the applicant to review all the different permitting, things that they might need to hit, whether it's health department, whether it's fire department, planning, zoning, conservation commission, so that we can sort of hash everything out in one room before they even submit any application. So I'm hoping that this will actually start to create a little legwork here, and we can do this on a more regular basis with all applicants.
So I heard you say pre-development, so does that imply that it's
Or pre-application, I should say.
pre-application?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have pre-development meetings all the time with applicants before they start spending too much money on engineering costs, trying to sort of hash things out before they get to that point. But this would be a pre-application meeting, so before they submit anything.
That might not be a case for someone looking for a permit to open a comic book store, but it might be for someone who's looking to put in, 200 units of housing or something.
Maybe, I think it's sort of, it may be a little bit case by case. If it's a restaurant, there may be, other issues in regards to liquor license and health agent and even the fire department, depending on what they're planning to.
Well, you had one though that had, it was, the, JP Electric's building. And that one there, was good because the fire department came in totally negative. And then they had, they had their meeting and everything came out okay.
Right.
And everyone shared their concerns, informal, formal. Okay.
Right, and we have to do that anyway for the, sorry, I didn't cut you off, but, as part of the review process anyway, any application that comes to planning and zoning automatically gets sent to the health agent, to DPW, to the fire, to Conservation Commission, to the building inspector for comment, but hopefully what we can do is try to, and when we can, we try to let the applicants know ahead of the meeting that these comments have come in from these departments and they should be addressed before the meeting. But it's to sort of even get ahead of that before the application's even filed. If we can try to hash these things out ahead of time, then it will just streamline the process for applicants, so.
Is the intent to kind of, like if people are interested in developing a particular parcel or existing building or something like that, to kind of give them a heads up what they're getting into so they can back out before they apply? Because in this way, what I'm noticing is you were just talking about fee structure, making sure you're not losing money. But in these kinds of review processes, it's time, but you have no money in hand. You've got no commitment from the applicant to move ahead. And I work in a building department and I get this all the time. There's a kind of a line at which people are picking your brain for all kinds of stuff, and it's like, well, I'm sitting here, I'm costing the city money, but there's no commitment on the part of this applicant. They're the ones who are going to benefit from, the service. I like to get the money.
Well, and often what Jamie and I respond, the way that we respond is we'll take it to a certain level and we'll say, we flag this and we're seeing this as an issue. You need to hire a professional to go and figure this out for you. We see it as a potential, but we're not gonna spend our time designing something or putting something in place and doing setbacks and figuring out what the building footprint is. We'll just say, hey, there's wetlands here, you need to be cognizant of that, but you need to work with professionals to make sure that your plans are.
It's actually wise even for the smaller business owner, even like a micro business owner, because it gives them a sense of reality. You have this dream or this wish, and you start this business, and you're going 100 miles an hour, and then you get to this roundtable meeting, and you're like, oh, gee, I didn't know.
Well, in the small business permitting guidebook also is hopefully trying to nip some of these things in the bud as well.
And along those lines, I think if I were in the shoes of an applicant, I'd be looking for the deal breaker right out of the gate rather than go through all the work. So if I sit down and I've got this dream of whatever, a restaurant, and then somebody whispers to me, oh, don't forget you're gonna have to sprinkler this building. Oh my God, I didn't think that could be a deal breaker.
Oh, totally.
So
It's
you
a
walk
deal
away
breaker all the
before,
time.
but to your point, if you get into setbacks and all that, somebody's gotta go do their own homework and figure that stuff out. But it's the big issues, I think, that we should be upfront with somebody right away. Hey, did you realize you're gonna need $150,000 to sprinkler this building?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, no, I didn't realize that.
And Westfield's done a fabulous job of this. I mean, they have a weekly meeting now, every Thursday. It's like they have applicants that are lined up, they come in, they meet with the department heads, they get their feedback, they find out things like, oh, sprinklers, did you realize that? Oh, did you realize that? And you know, then the applicants can go and sort of
And they're
do
not
what they need to
spending
do.
an hour per applicant. You know, they're reviewing the business outline and the plan and the dream and that sort of stuff, and it's not, it turns over pretty quick.
And I think-
No, I know where Dave's come from, so I get it in our office. There's 4 or 5 fellas, and I'm sure they come down here occasionally that pick your brain, but they never do anything. I don't mind it because I'm not on the city's dime, and you know, and I
You
don't
talking about
mind
the
it.
frequent flyer club?
Yeah. Well, no, and there's a guy from Northampton that's classic, and he was the one who developed Lawrence. He comes in, he picks your brain, he's like, listen, this is the code book. If you don't like your answer, don't come to me. But, you know, I know where Dave's coming from, but I think overall, you know, the city will manage it because they have limited time. It's just, it'll, you know, go.
Yeah, it'll make for a more knowledgeable applicant, I think, at the end of the day.
So the mayor's.
Some of the impetus behind the booklet that we just, you guys should put together too.
That was the impetus, yes, to try to sort of get the answers out there before we see the questions. And Jamie did a fabulous job pulling that together.
And I've had several people come in,
Oh, great.
and they're out there now.
That's
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Jessica, I have a question about.
Sure.
So, the money that the city received to review the industrial zoning.
Sure, it was through the Community Compact Initiative, which is through the
Okay.
governor's office, and it was
Okay.
$10,000.
And so after you said that, then you went on to review fee structure, is that part of it?
That was just, yeah, those are the recommendations that came out of it.
Okay,
So
so
the
all of
plan's right
these-
there, so you can,
okay,
so you want to take a
great,
quick look.
great.
So those were like, to me, the top 3 things that came out of the review that are pretty easy to implement, I think, for the most
Okay,
part. You
right.
know, changing the fee structure, creating these pre-development meetings, and the harder thing will be taking a look at the special permit site plan approval process and what uses are triggering what permits, but all doable actions. Any other questions on that before I move on to other stuff? Okay. Just to alert you, a couple of projects before the planning board that were approved. A small one, Milltown Deli, moved down from their previously approved location, so they're gonna be closer to the boardwalk area on Cottage Street. There was a solar project, Dynamic Energy, that is leasing from Wilson, Northampton on 198 Park Street, which is the parcel right next to the access road on White Brook Middle School. They're gonna be putting in a large solar array there, and they were approved for that. And then also is the Lovin Construction and Excavation on O'Neill Street, and that's a new building, 2 buildings, 2 10,000 square foot buildings, excavation, construction company can be moving in that location.
Where's that on O'Neill Street?
Kind of across from Industrial Parkway. It's
Okay.
David's
Yeah.
property. And then one last thing for CPA, the planning department in collaboration with DPW submitted an application for a land acquisition project in Cook Road in Southampton, which for drinking water supply. We're partnering with the town of Southampton and applied for a land grant for that. So we're waiting to hear back on the grant, but we've requested, what did we request? $343,000, I believe, right?
The Southampton CPA has already committed about $360,000, and the state's being asked to contribute $400,000.
So if all comes together and works out, we'll hold a conservation restriction on 25 acres in Southampton for drinking water supply so that we can protect that land, protect our water, which feeds our beer system, right?
Yes.
So that's the economic development side of that.
All right.
I think that's it for stuff going on, so.
Signs?
Hmm?
Signs?
Signs. Signs has been a little delayed. We had a very long planning board meeting last meeting, and I've been busy and didn't get to much for tonight's meeting, so probably next meeting we'll start getting into the meat of the sign ordinance. It's a process.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Anything from the ECA?
No, and you probably know more, yeah.
We're still sort of in this transition period with the new coordinator, so there is a meeting on Thursday. I can try to bring up trying to get some ECA representation, but I would say in the meantime, I'm kind of it
Okay.
for right now.
Yeah.
She's been doing a great job. Really has the no concert series is.
Well, that wasn't her.
That wasn't her.
No.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
That was a private entity.
Okay.
Mhm. I mean, she volunteered her time,
Yeah.
but, it was a private entity that put that on.
Okay, plastic bag ordinance discussion. Anything more to talk about?
I think it's just floating out there.
Oh.
What?
Yes. No pun intended.
No pun intended. No, I'll give you one. No, I'm just saying, but like, the two committees are working on it, it's just kind of under
Yeah, I
agenda.
haven't heard
It's not-
anything.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any scuttlebutt from vendors. Okay. And the liquor licenses, that's pretty much a done deal, I think.
Yeah, two got,
Yeah.
four now.
Okay.
But. the only
There
thing
hasn't
I-
been any reaction that I've heard to our letter.
Well,
By the
I
way,
was gonna, a tiny bit maybe, because, I only get this, I only know this from the news article, the way it was written. But, Jason Duda, questioned the libraries, because he wasn't sure it had economic development. So I thought that was
The
maybe,
library?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
the library
that-
restaurant.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, it was approved, but he just threw that out there, he didn't think that it was necessarily a new license, so it wasn't new economic development. And I didn't know, I was only bringing that up, because I didn't know if that, this is, I'm sure, he can think for himself as well, but we did send a letter.
Yes, we did. I mean, I think they're obviously trying to enhance the whole brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably just part of it.
Yeah, no, he just brought it up, they were approved.
Okay.
But,
And they have 3 more?
they have 4 more, isn't there 8?
more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8 total.
Because Wills didn't get it.
Oh, yeah, well, one was sent back for further review.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to me, that was a good sign, that they just didn't rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That even though they had 4, they could have easily just given one, still had 3 more
Yeah.
in the hopper.
Yeah.
They sent it back for further discussion, further review, whatever, so.
Well, that's good.
It sounds like they're doing all the due diligence you would hope they would do.
Yeah. Okay. Business buyer card, how many people signed up so far?
Well, I think by the end of this week, midweek, next week, we'll have 30, an additional 5 folks hopping onto the programs. We've got 30 so far. Yeah, it's just gonna keep on going too, so.
And that's 30-ish vendors signed up.
Correct.
How many cards have been issued?
Cards, there's over 100 that have been issued. The Chamber and Bank ESP partnered on the golf tournament, golfers gifts this year. And every golfer, instead of getting a tote bag or a water bottle, got a preloaded gift card
Cool.
for the greater East Hampton area.
That's great.
And some of them have come in and some of them have been used, thus my envelope for Casey. So, yeah.
Great. Good news.
And you haven't really done a ton of marketing yet, have you?
No, and that's the thing, that's we're gearing up for that, for the holidays, that's the big. We kind of, I mean, the whole target was the holidays, and then we had the idea of the golf tournament, and that kind of pushed things up. So it's kind of like the rollout's been happening since July 29th, so, but we're gearing up for that holiday thing.
And they can reload, go back to the chamber and reload the card?
If they want, and or leave them with the merchant, and they are reusable, so I can collect them, and we can use them until they're just not suitable to go back out into the public.
One-stop shopping, you go, $50, $100, and whoever you give the card to can use it at 30 different locations.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
got the gift card, the golf tournament ones that are floating around, and we've probably at least once a week I've got somebody coming in purchasing, $50,
So they're just word of mouth.
75. Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
I think once we really start to get,
Are you gonna do things?
Coordinated
Anything on
with everybody.
Facebook with it?
sorry?
Are you gonna do anything on Facebook for it? For the chamber Facebook page?
Advertising.
Advertising?
Well, I have been.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, send in the newsletter, I repeat it over and over in the newsletter, yeah.
Newsletter goes to chamber
working on-
members, right?
Sorry?
Newsletter goes to chamber members, right?
No,
Oh, that goes.
it goes to whoever wants to be
Great, okay.
part of that. And then we're putting together the Holyoke Chamber has, within their directory, they have a restaurant guide. So we decided that we would do a gift card guide, and NPSB is partnering with us on that as well. We'll have that at least for the holidays.
For ideas.
Great.
It's fresh.
Oh, goodness, okay. Anything else, buyer's card related?
That's a good idea.
Mill tours.
So I'm working with the Massachusetts Association of Planning Directors. They're coming out for a half-day tour of the mills in November. It's gonna be planner wonky a little bit, so I'm not sure if that's the right venue for you guys to show up, and it is a full half-day event. So what I was thinking is if there was a specific, like if you wanna see completed projects, do you wanna see projects in progress? I mean, all of the mills are in various stages. If you wanna see a build-out, I mean, Mill 180 is pretty much built out at this point.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
if that's what you wanna see as a build-out, then I think I can just contact Mike Nishon and try to schedule something for you to take a tour on a day, if that's what you're interested in. If there's something else you're interested in, we can, you're welcome to come to the wonky planner thing, but it's gonna be the, planners from all over the state.
What's the
think
date
just
of that?
Hmm?
What's it planned for, what day?
The 18th, November 18th, it's from like 9 to 1.
I personally would like to do Mill 180 and then we can knock them off one at a time. and
Mhm.
choose
Okay,
one.
all right.
You wanna start with Mill 180?
Okay, so I'll schedule something with Mike Nishon and see what his availability is.
And I wouldn't say only do things that are all built out.
No,
Because I'd
no,
like to
'cause
see-
Sulco is not
Well,
quite.
it'd be good for us to see what
Right.
the potential
Yeah,
is there.
yeah.
But if we knock them off one at a time rather
Yeah.
than try to do
Yeah.
it before day.
So let's do Mill 180 first,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're interested in Mill 180. Have you been to the park yet?
Yes,
Yes.
I went this morning. It's
It's
incredible.
so cool.
Incredible.
It's really, really
What
cool.
interesting.
Kind of a little leery about taking my grandkids there because
Oh,
there might be things going through walls and stuff.
there already are. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a long chat with the owners last night, actually.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Apparently, parents were dropping their children off and then going to the concert.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
years
Oh,
or what?
jeez.
Kids running around,
It's not
running
cool.
them up.
Exactly.
So dropping them off and walking out.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
So,
I,
apparently quite a few people.
oh, my God.
All right, so Mill Tour, I'll contact Mike Michon. Morning, afternoon, like what's the preference?
Well,
Whatever
probably,
convenient for them.
Well, he's,
probably
I think
later,
he's a-
probably later in the afternoon, like 4-ish.
like a 4 o'clock
Yeah.
thing.
And I
I'm
think-
just throwing it out.
Yeah, and if you throw a date out far enough in advance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whoever can make it can
3
make
or
it,
4.
hopefully.
And does there have to be an agenda file? I'm just-
No, I don't
No,
think
it's
there's
not a meeting.
All right.
It's not-
It's a site visit.
Yeah.
It's a site visit. Okay, site visit.
Great.
Okay.
Actually, they should put a sign up, people who leave their kids here, the kids will be given a shot of espresso and a puppy.
They do have a sign that says, children not to be left unattended.
Oh my God, I can't
believe people did
does
that.
in a public space. It's like-
I know, I can't believe
Because
it.
that tour happened
It's the
at one of
70s.
the breweries at once.
Okay, well, heck, kids, next meeting is October 18th.
Wait,
See everybody-
Just one, maybe, is there any word on a new engineer? Okay.
If anybody knows any engineers that are looking for work, please have them send their resume in.
Our city engineer's going to Hoyle. For a new position over there.
It's already gone.
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's not. I just, after we schedule the meeting, I just got 2 questions.
Sure. Go for it.
Oh, the first question is just housekeeping. Is this form for the public meeting notice, is this available electronically?
I can give you an updated copy of it.
Okay, thank you. So then
What I do is I just take the previous one and plug in new things.
Yeah, but I can't take an old one and change it, right? It's-
Yeah, you just take the one I sent you this week, or last week.
That's in Word, I can just change
in
it?
Word?
It's Word.
Oh, then
It's a
I'll
Word
set
doc,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
If you want, you can save it as a PDF, and actually I should be doing that, but I don't. So, yeah, just take one of the Word ones.
The only other thing I was gonna bring up is not a big deal, in the last meeting, we talked a little bit about parking on Cottage Street, and I don't wanna belabor it, but I was thinking about it, and, people in general were kinda comfortable with the level of parking. There was a comment that, when cultural chaos comes, people find places to park. And, however, I do think though that we should be a little bit more, concerned about parking, because the nature of the businesses on Cottage Street are changing. Just speak specifically about the municipal lot. municipal lot, you know, at one time belonged to the Majestic Theater. We know the history. But the Majestic Theater until recently was really 30,000 square feet used by one man. You know, a furniture maker that wasn't even there sometimes.
Yeah.
But also parked in the back.
Mhm.
You know, and now it's, the whole model has changed, and I think all that's wonderful, but I'm just saying that, you know, maybe we just need to just be a little bit more proactive, like in talking about municipal parking lot, maybe some signage. I think you're gonna see, you know, with the deli and some other things, parking is gonna be you know, a little bit of an issue, and, you know, in any way we can help it, you know, it is what it is, you know, we're not gonna go to a parking garage. But, you know, at one time, next to the municipal lot, there's a white house that has, you know, was for sale off and on over the years. You probably can only add like 7 or 8 spaces, and you know, after you took it down.
It's the one in the back, or not the subway building?
The subway one,
Subway.
yeah, that was on off the market, you know, and it was, but it, you know, and no one's to blame, it's just, you know, very typical, you know, inertia, don't to see it, money, whatever. But, all I just want to throw out is that, because I know that, like when I rent my office space, our office space, which is, you know, different, you know, I do hear the comments that, well, at least I can park here. So, you know, people, you know how people are parking, they always want to park on the front door.
Well,
And I just want to throw it out that we can't be complacent, if there's any opportunity to help it, we should just jump on it, that's all.
The last,
Have that as an agenda item, so that we can.
yeah, be it around.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday, I went to Amy's for like 5:30. No parking in municipal lot, no parking behind. I was the second car starting to park on the street on Pine Street, which works.
Mhm.
Which works for a few cars till you
Few
get
cars,
to
yeah.
Orchard Street.
Yeah.
But, and the person that owns the property across the street to Pine is getting a little antsy about the cars that park there even after hours. I think there's a lot of talk about don't park there. But, I wonder if, there's ever an opportunity to review crosswalks, based on some probably new safety measures. There were several parking places on Union and Cottage that got taken away, because of the distances that were recommended before and after a crosswalk. And I get it, you don't want somebody walking between cars, so if you look at the yellow lines on Cottage Street, I bet there's at least a half a dozen parking spaces that are gone. Years ago, on Main Street, there were 3 crosswalks. There was one going from the bank to the Rotary, there was one going from the bank across the street, and there was one going from Bank of America across the street. The police actually recommended eliminating when cars were stopping and going, stopping and going. You know, what comes to mind is you've got the crosswalk, which may or may not be new, that goes from, I don't know, about where Milltown Deli is going across to 15, which is nice because all the residents are there. Then just up the road, you've got the crosswalk at the Brass Cat. And then just up from that, you've got the crosswalk at Amy's place. Maybe all 3 are necessary, I don't know, but if you look at it, all 3 of them are consuming some significant parking. Are they all necessary? I don't know.
I mean, people don't go on the crosswalks anyway.
Well, no, I think they do.
Well,
I think-
big ones, they
I think they really serve a purpose for Cottage Street. I mean, when you
Yeah,
want
as it
people
gets
to-
more crowded, they certainly are.
Yeah,
crowded.
and I think we'll have more people on foot than 1 or 2 cars.
But I don't disagree with you, Josh, but we talk about that, I don't need to park right in front of the business, but do I need to cross right in front of the business? So if
Well, no, you don't, but there's, for that whole street, there are 3. Well, okay, there's one up in front of me.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's not one down in front of, at the bottom of the street.
Correct.
You have to go all the way
You have to
to the
cross,
street.
you have to take a loop, you have to cross.
Yeah, so
Casey.
I don't think the
Nini's seems
Ford-
awfully dangerous to me. I mean, people
Huh?
come around, the one at Nini's seems awfully dangerous to me.
It is, it
Well,
is.
yeah, but you
Coming
gotta
around
have
the
it.
corner down into
Yeah,
town.
that's a dangerous one.
But you gotta have it.
And maybe that's not the answer, it's just that I know years ago, unfortunately, we lost a ton of parking with the new rules about crosswalks.
A half dozen?
I don't think that.
Pardon?
A half dozen, you said?
I bet you there's a half dozen lost. The-
When you add them all up.
The other thing that caused it is the bump outs on Cottage Street. Now, that was a safety measure. The bump outs at the old Majestic, you lost at least 2 parking spaces on each side of the street.
Yeah.
You can't park that close to the bump out, so we've lost a bit.
I-
But the municipal lot made up for that.
Yeah.
But to Dave's point, the dynamic may be changing.
Well, I would almost rather see looking for spaces behind.
Well,
some of these buildings rather than
to
taking
mention
away
that, I was
from
wondering if we could talk to 1 Cottage Street, now that you can walk, now that 15 Cottage, the apartments, that the road has been rehabilitated. Improved greatly, and there's a sidewalk and there's lighting, obviously inclement weather, all bets are off, but it's all those little things. I do know that, like my son's generation, they use Uber all the time, so people going down on Friday after Brass Cat, and, we have some of that, but still, I just don't wanna be nonchalant that, cause, you need every edge you can be, that's all.
Yeah. No, I agree, we should keep on top of it,
Yeah.
but I don't think we should take away, any of the crosswalks.
But you raised a good point about the dynamic of the business. I mean, years ago, when there were businesses in the 7 Campus Lane building behind the bank, an attorney's office was no big deal. People didn't seem to spend a lot of time in an attorney's office. When there was a hairdresser in there, whole different dynamic. So if the dynamic changes with the businesses, no town deli, people are gonna be in there for an hour.
Or in and out.
Or in and out, but if they're seating, they're gonna be in there for a bit. Something will come back in Bliss. There's seating, people will go in and sit down and spend a lunch break, what have you. That's not a bad thing, but it changes the dynamic of a business that is in and out.
Yeah. Well, what about the service station, the auto place that's across the street?
They had plans.
That's gonna be all
They have plans
rehabbed,
for
yeah.
all that space back there?
No, in front, I think, I don't know about the back, but.
I mean, I've seen different things over
Yeah.
the years.
Well, what I was
They haven't-
specifically thinking of is the space going back on the side.
Well, it's combining with the package store, that's what's gonna be,
And the new building's gonna mimic across the
the
street.
package store bought
I don't
some of that
recall.
space.
So are they gonna make retail out of that?
I think James
That was-
right,
that was
it's a moving target.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I saw was, adding a second floor, and, they were trying to figure out, where they can and can't build because of zoning and pre-existing non-conforming structures, and so they're not taking anything down, because if they take it down, then they lose their rights, and so it's.
Well, okay, so that's another property for us to keep our eyes on.
But I think that's
But I mean,
gonna,
but
over
it's-
time, be
it's-
improved nicely.
Okay, good, that's good.
Well, I think the property to keep an eye on, that, it won't come up for a while, but it's the old Harley Davidson place behind the package store. That's just used for storage now, and basically the building is the lot. But I always thought that could be a good spot.
For parking.
Right.
It's full of like pinball machines.
Yeah, it's a amusement company owns it, poker machines and.
You can look through the window.
But you're right, Dave, about the catch-22 about houses. I mean, what's out of place on Cottage Street, with all due respect to the homeowners, there's those 4 or 5 homes
Yeah.
are now out of place on Cottage Street.
Yeah.
But we went through this at the bank years ago. You buy a house, you pay market rate for the house, and you get 6 more parking spaces. Because the land it's sitting on is the size of this room.
And the city won't, I can say, I don't think the city would buy a house on Cottage Street to tear it down.
Right, right.
I think.
But I don't wanna say you're wrong or say, if the need was demonstrated from over the years of people talking about it, it might.
Well, I mean, I think there are lots of other ways to deal with it, besides making the cultural district barren.
There seems to be a lot of parking on Union Street behind a lot of the storefronts.
So
Those places closed. They're daytime businesses,
Yeah.
many of them. You got lots of parking. The city could simply maybe negotiate a deal to lease those at night, or somehow cover the insurance, make some kind of arrangement. Then the nightlife and downtown parking issue maybe.
Well, and that might be the first steps, and then that with signage and the communication
Mhm.
process.
It has people walking on Union Street
Yeah.
at night, which could be helpful, kind of, we've been, last Art Walk, tried to get people to do that.
Yeah.
I guess the other thought, Dave, too, and under the heading of people want to park where they can see the front door, human nature. You know, the city's done a great job of promoting 50 Payson here as municipal parking. Think about it, if you park right here, how far is it to walk to Brass Cat or Amy's Place or whatever?
Nothing. People just have to get used to doing it.
Well, especially with, just thinking with, if you're going to Mount Tom's, but you're gonna have your ice cream at the boardwalk, why not park it like
Exactly.
here?
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think there's signage out here now that says municipal parking with directionals to this
Yeah.
lot, so.
But Dave, you started out, when you first started talking about this, just now you mentioned signage, and I think that that's important, because people who live in town maybe know where some of the parking spots are, I do,
Right.
but people who are out of town, who we're trying to entertain as well, and keep in town, especially at night, it'd be helpful to know if you're driving along, where can you park?
Right.
Where are the signs, directional signs?
And it's pretty simple, you drive through Boston, you see the big blue
Yes.
Ps,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you look for those and you know, okay, there's parking over here somewhere. You might have to go a couple blocks, but even Northampton's got the big blue Ps on the side of
But
the
you're
road.
paying in Northampton, big difference,
That's
and,
true.
and there's been a
Right.
big discussion,
Yeah.
people coming over for the concerts here, and so, it's free parking in East Hampton, I'm not gonna get a ticket.
Exactly.
Then that's one of the benefits.
Totally.
That's why people,
Yep,
Well,
yep, but, yeah.
Parking's going up.
If we could get that abandoned building in between the auto store and Silence Coffee Place.
Scurry?
Yeah.
It's, no, that's assessed to $184,000.
and he's got plans for that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of those plans.
And
for the
again,
last 6 years.
the problem there,
But
Josh,
that's
is
not-
the actual footprint would give you maybe 6 parking
By the
places.
time we, provide
I
all
just
of
started
that.
looking at that building.
I-
Oh, and there's probably a lot of things for you just going around in there.
Oh, sure there are. East Hampton has some good, best people.
I mean, I think for art walk and things like that, a lot of people, with or without permission, use the Union Plaza lot.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
close proximity to Cottage Street.
Yeah.
I would like to see those lots have signs that say shared parking.
That's right,
Or
yeah.
Park here, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
We have to talk to the property owners about that.
But you're gonna talk to the property owners, to Dave's point, I mean,
Yeah.
we get requests from time to time for, the Congregational Church is doing a bus trip and they wanna know if they can park in the bank parking lot on a Sunday.
Mhm.
And I say, no, you can't, you do not have our permission to park there. But I can't see you from my house, so if you park there, because once you get permission, then you run into that problem,
Liability.
potential liability, what have you.
Yeah.
So we don't give permission, but we don't do anything about it either, if they park there, so. And they know the drill by now.
Mm, right.
Sure, you can park there, but I didn't give you permission.
So that's probably a good thing to add to the agenda.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And
Would
it's
people-
definitely something that's cyclical, and it seems to be, since everybody's been here longer than I have, just about everyone's been here longer than I have.
Are you saying we're old?
No, I'm just saying that, like, it's been a discussion, there's 1990
They've
parking,
already
there was
had a lot,
a
yeah.
parking study in 1990, there was another one, I think, in 99.
Right.
You know, we've
I
done,
hope
we-
it comes to
Just
the
do
conversation.
something.
we've done studies,
Yeah.
and study after study has shown that,
There's no
you know,
problem.
we don't, there's a problem in perception, but there's
Yeah.
not a problem in fact.
Right.
Mhm.
And,
So we need to get better at
and
communicating.
I think that speaks to signs,
Yeah.
and that speaks to, directing people to the, you know, where we can get an agreement with the property owner that says, you know, if they just put up that sign that says, we won't tow you,
Right.
you know.
Does the city have like a little map of municipal parking or parking availability?
They put them to a very big
We
map.
don't.
There is something somewhere, it's buried in the report though.
If I do one of those
I thought we did
Posted
an inventory one
Yeah, we
time.
did.
I mean, it'd be really easy to do on like Google Maps.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can make your own map, you can say here's parking, here's.
Yeah.
But if you counted the parking spaces on the street on Cottage, the municipal lot and the municipal lot here, you might be surprised at the number of parking spaces. And just making mention of, you know, there's 75 parking places in the immediate vicinity of Cottage Street. Somebody's going, what are you nuts? There's not
Yeah, but if you
75.
have a
And then
visual.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so
And
you
if
know,
you-
if you could all post it on our websites.
But to your
If
point,
you include
it's,
like a quarter of a mile walk
Yeah.
from Union Street along those residential neighborhoods,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, and there's
The
no.
scale, if people will It's not that far.
But people don't park there because people aren't directed to park there. We
Right.
don't have signs that say
Right,
2-hour parking or 4-hour parking or
Right.
resident parking only, so people.
Well, if we identified the ones that we think we could share, I think to Dave's point, we approach the business owner and say, how do we work something out
Who
that,
do we,
that,
the city or?
no, somebody.
EDIC.
Oh, okay.
Dave and I will take Bernie out for a couple drinks, but the point is that, the point is that you come to that arrangement that relieves them of potential liability. They may be willing to put a sign up, shared parking, what have you, as long as their businesses
Aren't impeded.
aren't impacted in some negative way, but, there seems to be plenty of parking in
Yeah.
Plaza even when they're busy.
I know, I get a little sensitive to it, because like, when you mentioned it, it's a circular thing. As a property owner, right now, unfortunately, I don't have much retail space, I have office space, but when retailers weren't doing well, the first complaint is signage, the second one is parking. It's never their model.
Yeah.
Or the lack of foot traffic. I mean, some things are out of their control. But we can only do so much, we can't solve it, but I just think if we can just continually, from time to time, enhance the perception,
And Dave, that's a great point. Think about the model of any business. Parking, signage, what have you. Try to get into Mountain Ice Cream any night of the week. So apparently he doesn't have a parking problem, he doesn't have a signage problem, he's got a great model.
Yeah.
You know, the old if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
They'll find a way to
Just if you
get there.
work around
I've never seen you lost your word.
it. I concur.
Okay. Anything else? You want a little time back? Sure. Okay.
We have to vote for the.
Next meeting is February 18th, right? Yeah.
Well, thanks, Josh, I hope that I can continue your.
Yes, thank you, John.
Yes,
You were next, Josh.
You were elected the last time, right?
Yeah.
Dave was elected?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He was elected, okay.
And did you talk
it was
to
a sweet.
Barbara?
Oh, yeah, she's on top of it.
On top of it, and the mayor's on top of it.
She's on top of it.
Okay.
She's already voted me for the
Bye,
job.
kids.